All right. Oop, let me take that off. There we go. Okay. How do I look? I look like I've slept. Not at all. I'm going to get my coffee here, actually. I'm going to put it to the side, though. Don't worry. Don't worry, Joe. I know what you're talking about over there. Here we are. All right. So, I always ask folks, if you want to be able to steer this segment one direction or the other, on my Facebook page, facebook.com/LukeThomasNews, I always ask folks on Sunday night or Sunday afternoon, sometime on Sunday, what would you like to see on the Monday Morning Analyst? And I got a lot of responses. There wasn't any one thing that was like, so, oh my God, bigger than the next. Sort of like last week's Yair KO was a pretty big deal, and Cerrone's armbar was a pretty big deal. And there's lots of pretty big deals. But the big three that I kept seeing over and over were, one, that clinch that Johnny Walker put on guys, his name's escaping me now, Khalil Rountree. The second one was the the choke rather, by Cynthia Calvillo. And then at the end, the leg kicks. How were Ricardo Lamas and Santiago Ponzinibbio able to effectively leverage their leg kicks for success? So that's what we're going to look at here today. Joe, I am going to have to use you a little bit in this segment. Is that okay? I will throw nothing. I will do nothing. I will just make a point. Yeah, okay. Let's go to the screen here if we can. Yeah, look at that. We actually had some technical difficulties ahead of time, and the boys in the back worked it out. Shouts to them. All right, here we are. This is obviously the first round. Johnny Walker taking on Khalil Rountree. And I like this little combo he throws. He throws a right head kick, right? He's all doing shucking and dancing there. Throws this, and then watch, he throws the right behind it. I kind of dig that because now he's in an opposite stance. So now he can throw the straight. He still throws the right over it, but now he can switch back by doing this, and he chases him down. Okay, so here was the question about the clinch. Folks are asking, like, what are you supposed to do when you get stuck in a predicament like this? This is a uniquely bad situation for Khalil Rountree. And I want to make something clear, like, what is the purpose of the Monday Morning Analyst? Is it to break down film? Yes. Is it to help bring some elucidation to what happened in retrospect? Yes. But also it's about celebrating fighter achievement. It's really what I'm trying to do here. So I want to be clear, either in this segment or any other, I'm not trying to demean what anyone does wrong. If you get knocked out, you made some bad choices probably, right? But at the same time, this is a very difficult sport. You're operating in real time. You need to be kind of respectful of people, even in defeat, in this scenario. So just understand what I'm trying to do here. I'm just trying to be clear about what happened rather than being disrespectful. I'm actually trying to magnify what he did. Here's what occurred to me. This is why I mentioned it was a uniquely bad scenario for Khalil Rountree. There's two things I noticed right away when this was happening. Number one, the height differential. So if you've got somebody shorter than you and you're clinching, you are going to be and you're the one doing the clinching, you're going to be in a very, very advantageous position, folks. Very, very advantageous. You're going to have just shorter distance to travel to bring a knee, shorter distance to you can use more of your weight to pull down on them, right? Rather than trying to, if your elbows are going past parallel to go and grab and pull something, it's just going to be harder versus, I mean, think about where you're strongest. You're strongest here, like in jiu-jitsu, right? This is where you're strongest. You're not very strong here. That's why gymnasts, as a display of strength, the male ones, do the iron cross where their arms are totally out to the side because that's their essentially weakest point. How strong are you at your weakest point? So think about this clinch. He's got his elbows kind of here. This is a very strong position. Number one, there's a major height differential. That's going to be a major problem for Khalil Rountree. There's something else, and the graphics here are not good enough to show, even though I recorded this in high def. The clinch is a technical position, and I want you to understand that. It's a technical position. However, size matters, and so does strength. You can see here, if we can go back to the screen so I can point it out. Yeah, you can see here, you see this? It's the brachialis muscle. So you've got your bicep and your tricep. There's a muscle in between. People who are super yoked get it. He is ridiculously strong. It looks to me, not merely because he is chiseled, but because you have Khalil Rountree who can barely move. He is just stuck in this thing. And I'm going to show you, he tries to fight his way out of it a couple of times and can't get anywhere close to it. In part because, yes, he's using physical strength, in part because of the height differential, and in part just because it's a very obviously good position for him. You'll notice he never even, let me be clear about this, I'm certainly so far from an expert on the clinch, it's not even funny, but the way it was taught to me was hand over hand, like this, hand over hand. I've seen some guys do it this way. I've seen some people gable grip it up. There's lots of different grips. He doesn't even have any of those grips. He just has two hands collar tying. And even still, Khalil Rountree can't break it. Folks, that is a very, very, very strong, mechanically advantageous situation for Johnny Walker right away. Now, here's the situation. Joe, if you want to come here for a second, if you can, just for a second. I'm not going to do anything. Just be cool, Joe. I'm making you famous, Joe. Come here, face me. Face me. Okay, you can put your hands behind my head, yes? So here we are. We're just two lovers gently embracing. Here's the point, though. If we're in this situation like this, and you're pulling on my head, what I don't want to do is I don't want to break at the waist, because if I break at the waist, bad things are going to happen. So you want to have nice posture, but I don't want to be in this space. See, look at this space. This space is where he can land an elbow, he can land a punch, he can turn me, he can do a lot. And Khalil Rountree always stays here. Khalil Rountree wanted to be here. If trying to throw an elbow here, there's no mechanical way. We're head to head. There's no way. Hi, Joe. Nice to see you. All right, you can go back. You get the idea? So keep that in mind. People asked, why did the elbows work? The elbows worked because he was always in a position to be landed on. He never got head to head with him. He didn't break at the waist. When someone pulls you down, your natural instinct is to force back up. But after that, you got to go to the secondary motion. So watch. He tries to punch his way out at first. And I want you to pay attention to this elbow. Watch how, when he has the clinch, he's actually going to sink his right elbow inside. Watch this. See that? He sinks it inside the chest and creates a frame. So now the punch is nowhere where it needs to be. Nice little dodge there. And by the way, he's got it now on the clavicle. See that? So he's pulling the head down and he's got a frame. So not only are you being pulled towards him, you're being pulled and then locked into position because the frame is stopping you from coming forward, but the pull is making you come forward. So he's locking you into position with this. This is a very, very, and again, look at his muscles straining, right? Very, 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 very strong position. So Khalil Rountree looks to me like he tries to dig through and bump the elbow. This is better, although the height differentiation still makes it a problem, and he's going to push him back, right? Let's get him to the fence because you want to get hip to hip. Okay, this is better. And he tries to go underneath the elbow. And by the way, people are like, how do you break the tie clinch? Folks, there's a million ways to break the tie clinch. One of the most obvious ways is you swim inside and you capture the inside space. There's all kinds of ways where you break the tie, where you break it off you break the collar tie here. There's different ways where you can reach under, grab the elbow, and then turn and trip them. There's a million different ways. Usually, though, one of those ways involves grabbing the head. Did you notice Khalil Rountree never grabs the head? He doesn't pull. Remember how Joe and I were head to head in our loving embrace? Did you notice that he never pulls the head down? So there's nothing keeping, look at that. His head is completely untouched. The neck is completely untouched. So he's trying to dig up under here and he can't, right? And he's getting turned. Now they're head to head, but only because Johnny Walker wants it that way. Watch this. So you can see right here, let me do this. Look right there. You see this? Oh, let's do it again. See that? Khalil Rountree is trying to pummel inside. You see that? He's trying to pummel inside so he can be the one doing inside control. Watch what Johnny Walker does again. Remember how he collapsed the elbow inside? Watch this. He throws the strike, and now there's no more of him trying to pummel inside because Khalil Rountree is now putting it across his waist so he doesn't get drilled, okay? Look at this. No one's ever touching his head. Now, that punch lands, but punching your way out of the clinch is going to be hard. A lot of guys are good at ducking and rolling with stuff inside of that space. So here he is again. So it looks like Khalil's trying to at least control this side so that he doesn't get bombed on there. Let's see what happens. Johnny Walker is just rotating him over to now he's rotating him over where Rountree's trying to get the hand inside so he can establish inside control. Johnny Walker says, fine, but boom, you're unobstructed there. Look at the space. Folks were asking, why did it land? Why did it not land? Like, how on earth would it not land? There's nothing blocking. He's standing straight up in perfect range. There's no mechanism bringing the head down. There's no mechanism getting him head to head. There's no mechanism, effective enough anyway, to pummel in. All those things are missing. So, of course, it landed. All right? And that hurt him bad. And by the way, look at this. Look at this. He doesn't have to throw up an elbow at all. It's just straight across. His arm is parallel to the deck. How about that? Crazy, right? So then he stumbles. He recaptures it. Look at him again. Look at Rountree. Hold on, look at Rountree trying to pummel in. Whoop. And what does he do? He sags it inside and then pulls, right? Walker sags it inside. Now you can't pummel in. Now you just have a fist there. There's nothing there. The guy who has inside control, it's him. Rountree is holding the other one. So that left arm of Walker is no good, but the right arm is home free. Pushes him back right into the fence and then just pops him. Boom. There's nothing, there's nothing stopping him. And then he collapses, and I don't want to show you the final ending, but there you go. So why did he win? There you go. You know who's got a YouTube channel with a ton of good clinch break tutorials on them and stuff? And he would know this. I could never in my lifetime know as much about that as Bazooka Joe. Go check out Joseph Valtellini's YouTube site. He's got a ton of good stuff about clinch breaking and strategy and what to do and what not to do. So go give him a look. There's other ones too. Just Google Thai clinch break. You know, how to work in the Thai clinch. There's 1,000 things, at least give you a heads up. There are so many ways to break it, but there are a couple rules about it. Not getting broken at the waist, bringing head to head. That will help you in the long run. All right, so now we move on to the Calvillo situation. Here's Cynthia on top. I want to show you something that I mentioned in the CM Punk and Mickey Gall scenario, right? What was that? Look at this side control. Folks, that is let me zoom in here just a little bit if I can. Oops. Let me zoom in here a little bit. That is a ridiculous side control. Now, why is that ridiculous? Look at this elbow. Her arm is so far away from her body. What's strong? What's weak? What do you think that is? Super, super weak. Ryan Hall one time made a point to me. If I'm on my back and my arm is by my side and someone is in what they call side control, but I've got my arm next to me and they're not actually inside of this space, are they really in side control? Of course, there's a debate about that, but the answer is against anybody good, no, you're not. You need to be inside this space. And even against somebody good, they're almost never going to let their elbow get away from their body like this. Your elbows need to be kind of glued a little bit. Look at that. Wide open, folks. That is impressive. That is a deep, deep, deep side control. She will lose that because she goes for other things, but I just want to point that out. When she gets there, I saw that and I was like, ugh. You'll never see, unless he's unconscious, you'll never see Marcelo Garcia like this. You'll never see Braulio Estima like this. You'll never see Keenan Cornelius like this. You'll never see their elbows. They may lose a match. They may even get submitted. You'll never see them sustained at a position that weak because that is just a setup for disaster. Okay. So here she goes. She's going to just, knee her in the gut here. She's going to try. And by the way, this is people do this. They'll bring their knee on the bridge of your nose. Let me tell you from personal experience, does not feel great, as you can well imagine. That coffee is very good. So we move along here. So now you can see she's trying to, grind out her face here. Dude, look at this side control. It's ridiculous. You have complete inside control on the body. Amazing. So she's going to try. Her coach was telling her to step over the head. I think they were either going to look for an armbar or some kind of kimura or something. Hard to know. Anyway, so she fumbles here a little bit. Dude, the bicep is resting on anybody who's ever rolled will tell you, like, holy Jesus, this is terrible. That's a terrible spot to be in, right? You need to get that that needs to be along the inside of the hip, not like floating on the outside like a seatbelt. In any event, we move along here. Looks like she's trying to just grind her out. You can see here, right? You can see right there. Oh, wait, hold on. You can see right here. She's just grinding her out, right? So we go back. She's moving along. And there she begins to lose a little bit of it. I mean, I can't get over how ridiculously good this side control is. In any event, so here's when she begins to lose it a little bit. She tries to control one of the arms. Now here she inadvisably tries to like go to mount, but she goes to mount right along the middle of the guard, essentially. You could still do it here, but as you can see, she tries it right when Botelho has a chance to grab it, and she kind of does, like that, rather than when their hips are the other way, or like, it's just harder to do when they're facing you. See how the hips are facing Calvillo? You can, not saying you can't do it that way, but not the best way. But again, when you have a side control that deep, you might let some things go that you just don't really care about. So anyway, they move along here. Let's just, she's just battering her. Okay, so let me blow this up a little bit. What does Botelho want? She wants that underhook here, and you can see what does Calvillo want, Calvillo. She wants to layer out. So what's the best place to be is standing. If you're on the ground, what's the worst place to be? On your back. What's a better place to be than on your back? On your side. What's a better place to be than just on your side? Underhooking, kind of protecting yourself. So she's in a relatively okay spot here, all things considered. That underhook's just not deep enough, though. The underhook needs to be way up inside that armpit, which it's not, right? Now, what is you think Calvillo going to do? She's going to try and get her flat on her back, or at least, you see how she's curled up, Botelho? You're going to see her try and smash her open, right? You see a lot of, okay, I don't want to speak for 10th Planet because I know so little about what they do, but all of the 10th Planet guys who I've ever rolled with, they get to this position, and man, they just keep going for that underhook, 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 underhook. Because all they need to do is once they get it, they have a whole bunch of attacks. So from being here, you often find yourself overhooking with them a lot and trying to flatten them out. And you can see that right here. Then she flattens her out a little bit. Then she recaptures the inside space, kind of lets it go a little bit here to bang on her. And then you see Botelho, she's trying to get to that other elbow so she can underhook, elbow, and then get her hips out and maybe stand. And then she's just getting pressed out here, right? Pressed out. Look at that. It's almost like a knee on belly. Boom. Right? She's got this knee kind of on the groin, sort of hip area. She's flattening her out with just posting her weight on her face and jaw, and then just crushes her with a belly shot. That was nasty. Gets her to move, by the way. So here she is on top. She's established inside control again. Remember when we saw Cerrone last week? Recaptured that far side hook on Mike Perry. This is the same thing, right? Same thing. Oops, don't want to do that. Here we go. Let's move along here. Doing the same thing, doing the same thing. There she goes with the underhook again, but the underhook is not, you need that underhook to kind of like, you got to press it away from your body a little bit, which she's not doing here. She gets to her side. Okay, that's something, but you can see where it's the right arm doing here of Botelho. She can't get to an elbow or a hand or anything. So that's a problem, right? We keep going here. And now she kind of rolls to her base. Let me make sure I zoom back in, right? She kind of rolls to her base, which is interesting. It's not a very technical roll, but she kind of just sort of muscles her way there, which is fine. Calvillo is just letting her have it, okay? Herb Dean kind of blocks this, so you can't really see exactly how she gets it, but it doesn't matter. So she has the choke right here. Now, why does she have the choke? First of all, a couple things I want to pay attention to. All of this is forcing her, all of this ground and pound from her is forcing her to just get to her hands, right? Because it's creating enough space where you can do that. She's not mechanically holding everything, and she just wants to get up as much as possible. So the ground and pound forced the roll, and the ground and pound is forcing the sort of desperation to get to her hands as well, which is how the choke went, it appears to me, because you can look at the arm here. Oh, hold on. See that? That arm is of Botelho. So It looks to me like the choke went unobstructed. That's a nice high choke. Look at that. She's almost on the shoulder muscle. You see a lot of times guys try to go for chokes and they kind of get here low on the crook of the arm. Boy, she's up here on that bad boy. That is a nice choke. So she also has this hook. See this right there? Oops. Hold on. She has that hook. See that right there? Right there. So I'm not sure what purpose that serves, to be perfectly honest. Think about a rear naked choke. Why do you take the back? You take the back because the choke should be enough, but by taking the back, and let's say you have a body triangle, just as an example, the benefit that serves is you're not controlling their body. So if I just come behind you, if I came behind Joe and I choked him, would he have options to escape? The answer is yes. Bas Rutten has a whole bunch of escapes from that. You can flip somebody over, you can get behind them, pick up their legs, and you can drive into them because you can't control their body. Now, on the ground, it can be a little bit different. Part of me wonders if she left that hook in there just as some kind of way, if not to control Botelho, at least slow any kind of movement that she was applying from the choke. The choke, I called it in real time a Bulldog Choke. It is not a Bulldog Choke, although the mechanics are pretty similar in some ways. The reason why it's not a Bulldog Choke is she's posting off of her left arm, or left leg, excuse me, and it's the left arm that's doing the choking. It'd be a Bulldog Choke if she switched. So she's posting here, choking here. If she switched to the right side, then that would be the Bulldog Choke, which she's not doing. So it's not a Bulldog. I called it incorrectly. There you go. So she's gonna watch out. She's gonna grab this choke. She's going to slide out that leg. See the bottom leg there? She slides it through and then immediately takes the back, and then she's already tapping. Nicely done. Nicely done by Cynthia on that one. All right, so let's move along. And by the way, look at this from Cynthia. Let them know, Cynthia. Let them know. All right. Moving along. 2 down. Basically one situation left to go. Okay. Ricardo Lamas taking on Darren Elkins. Great win by Ricardo Lamas. Great redemptive performance by him. We'll talk about Ponzinibbio here in just a second. Folks are asking, what about those leg kicks? How do they do that kind of stuff? The calf kick. The calf kick, I will be very clear about this, and I'm always clear about my biases and my limitations. It's not something I know a tremendous amount. I encourage you to look up. Some folks that I talked to over the weekend, though, that gave me some interesting information about it. We'll get to here in just a second. There's also some other points that I've been hammering home this whole time that I need folks to pay attention to that's really important here. I'm trying to find a good scenario. All right, I want to show you something. In this particular case, it's to their back. But I want you to look at this. I want you to look at all this. Okay, look at everything between the blue lines. Now, remember, they have their back to this, but these things exist all the way around. Lamas is forcing Elkins into it. I've asked Fight Metric a basic question. Where on the canvas, if you're looking down at it, do most fights end? They don't track that. But anecdotally, I encourage you to look, and I would tell you that there's information to suggest almost all of them end here. Or if they don't end there, they end as a consequence of what happens in here. Behind these black lines, though I kind of exaggerated this one, but you get the idea. This outside rim, when you're looking at guys cage cutting, they want to do a couple of things. They want to prevent the person from moving, right, outside of this space. They want to keep them locked in here. Because, one, you can corner somebody, and two, there's just weird things that happens where if I'm in free space, I might move like this or whatever. I'm just chilling. I'm doing my thing. But when someone gets put up against the wall, their behavior changes. Sometimes they get tall. Sometimes they don't feel like they can move the same. They don't throw the same kinds of strikes. So not only are they cornered in terms of their mobility, their behavior changes. It literally forces them to be a different fighter as a consequence. When you watch your next fight, when you watch Tito versus Chuck this weekend or whatever you're going to watch, pay attention, especially in the UFC where they have this demarcated space. This is where all the action happens. Think about the Rountree elbow. Where did it happen? Right against the fence. The Cynthia Calvillo one happened just outside that space. It happens so frequently, which makes sense, right? Because you're talking about a sport where people are pushing out. Well, they have nowhere to go but out. And then once you get here, you're limited in mobility and your behavior changes. Kind of interesting point to make. All right. So how did Ricardo Lamas use it? Differently than Ponzinibbio. He did not want to get too close to him. Not a lot of boxing. What he wanted to do was make sure he was in a position to defend the takedowns. The calf kicks are a game changer for wrestlers. They're very powerful, they're very effective, and my leg isn't raising as high. It's kind of staying here. So it's much easier to retract it and not have any threat of a takedown from a guy like that who's really good. What you're going to see from Ricardo Lamas is some handwork, yes, but mostly he wants to keep his distance and then use a variety of kicks, including and especially the low kick, to set up other things. Let's watch. So here they are bouncing around. And again, where is the dangerous territory? Always remember here. Anything in here. That is the danger zone. That's what you're always looking for right there. That's why he wants to push out. He wants him in this space right here or up against the fence line. That's what he's looking for at all times. Got pretty close, obviously, right? He's going to jab his way in, but look at Ricardo Lamas, gets right back out. He does not stay in range with a guy like Darren Elkins, yeah? And well, there you go. You see it. How is he using it? Darren Elkins fading to his right. Let's see. He fades, and as he gets close, Lamas lands here. Why is this important? Because number one, watch what it does to Elkins. It shifts him back a little bit. Number one. Number two, sets up a future kick later. And number three, he's got his hands up here. He's not really expecting it. Look how far, by the way, if you could show me again on the screen, look at how far the leg stands of Darren Elkins. He's way out here, right? Way out there. So he's just a natural target for it, which means Lamas can hit it at range. He can be way far away, swing on it, and get out without having to worry about too much. So boom, lands it, right? Nice. We keep going here. Oops, don't want to do that. Hold on. Dun, 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 dun. Now he's throwing other kicks, setting them up, right? Look how he does. He engages Lamas and then retreats. He's never hardly in boxing range. Very, very little. Clinch breaks, stays out of the way. We keep going here. Throws the uppercut, tries to put a kick behind it, right? He's trying to just confuse Darren Elkins. And then, watch this. As Elkins tries to step in, boom. Catches him stepping in with it. And immediately, what does he do? Puts a hand up to frame out to block. All right, we keep going. I'm going to go through this kind of quickly because I want to get to Ponzinibbio here. All right, where is Darren Elkins? Once again, let's do this. I want to make it a little bit clearer. Where is Darren Elkins? He's close to the danger zone, yeah? There he is. This is not to say that in the middle of the cage there's no danger. I'm just illustrating a point. All right, so they're moving along. What does Darren Elkins expect? He's expecting some kind of a jab or cross, maybe some kind of a leg kick. It's not really clear. So boom, he gets drilled. He got confused. Bam, eats the kick. All of those other kicks are beginning to invest. That's the purpose. And what does Ricardo Lamas do? He gets out of the way. Now Ricardo Lamas is in the danger zone. I am so surprised by this. Maybe he didn't want to get hit. Maybe he was just not thinking. I can't believe Darren Elkins lets him circle back. I couldn't believe that. No cage cutting at all. Look at Ricardo Lamas. He knows not to get his back on the fence. And now look at their positions. It's back to a much more advantageous one for Ricardo Lamas. He goes here and tries to cage cut, follows his hips. Backs up a little here. Watch this. You'll see he comes in. Again, just throwing a variety of kicks, as you can see here. Making it all work. Boom, da-da-doom, da-da-da-doom, da-da-da-doom. All right. Watch this. Doesn't get caught, frames out, and gets back to a more dominant position. And he loves to nail him, by the way, in these sort of like entry moments. Breaks it, fights out, never keeps his back along the fence. Here he is moving away. When he's moving away, look, there's no way he could punch him or take him down from there. But Lamas can reach out and grab a guy with his leg who's got this super wide, almost like kung fu horse stance. Gets him again. All right, we'll fast forward through the rest of that. You get the idea. All right. Now, how did God damn it. Oh, Jesus Christ. Hold on. Here we go. How did Ponzinibbio use it? Very differently. Some of the same things, of course, right? It's very easy to land without being taken down, all those things I mentioned before. But the one that's a little bit different for him is he was much more willing to use his hands. In fact, you could make an argument he was almost too willing to use his hands, but he uses it pretty similar as well. I'm only going to show you the second round. First round already happened. He's already landing. What was the game plan by Ponzinibbio? It was to get Magny backing up as far as possible. Once you're getting back him up as far as possible, then there's all kinds of different stuff that's happening there. There's just so much you can do there, right? So, watch. Now, Neil Magny comes out in the second round and says, oh, man, I can't allow that. I gotta get after that. So he does get after it. He tries to come out and make a strong account of himself. Look at him here, jabbing. You can hear his corner yelling to him, put a pace on him, put a pace on him. Let me zoom in here a little bit. All right, here we are, just so you can see a little bit better. So Magny's coming after him, and you could see Ponzinibbio trying to keep his back away from the danger zone, right? As we mentioned before. Here he comes, here he comes. So he's just kind of absorbing all the pressure here a little bit, not doing a whole lot, minding his distance, doesn't want to get too far in. He L-steps out. Right now, he's sort of putting more pressure on him. Here's what it looked like to me. It looked like to me that the power of Ponzinibbio was so overwhelming that Magny would go out there and do all the right things. He was, putting a pace on him, sticking a jab in his face, trying to leg kick. It just never had an effect on Ponzinibbio. So I'm not saying he doesn't kick or punch hard. Maybe Ponzinibbio was in serious pain and just no-sold it. But if you no-sell it, it's almost the same as they're not being very hard. So watch this. He jabs, and here he did this. Whenever Magny would jab and then fade to his right like that, you could see you have to step out. He was always getting drilled. Ponzinibbio did it a lot to limit the jab. So he jabs to his right, to his left, Boom, catches him. Did I say to the right? I meant to the left. I apologize. I'm left-handed, so I jab to my right. To the outside of his jab hand. I apologize for getting that wrong. Boom, cracks him there. So now he knows if he jabs and he tries to move in space, he's going to get torn up. That was a great way that he was able to use it, right? So he kind of switches stances there for a second, blah, blah, blah. Now they're back to where they were. Here's where Ponzinibbio goes to work, right? Where are we? You guys know the story here. This is a story that's already been told. Doop, doop, doop. That's the danger zone, is it not? Yes, it is. All right. So he's going to back him up because, again, you have less mobility about what you can do. And your behavior changes when you get lined up like that. Look at the cage cutting. And look at the distance. Very different than Ricardo Lamas. Lamas was way outside. He's not doing that. He wants to get inside the reach of Neil Magny. He wants to back him up with his strikes. When he tries to circle out with his jab, he wants to crack him on that lead leg. Doesn't want to get the takedown, so he's not going across the thigh. He's going to go across the calf. We're talking about these calf kicks here. And he wants to get up in his grill. Not clinch range, because Magny would have the advantage being the taller guy there, potentially, but right in that boxing range, right? That's what he's going to do. And he's just going to feint his way in. Boom. Catches him still in space, and look how wide out he is, right? Catches him still in space. Boom. Drops him and goes after him here, yada, yada, yada. By the way, I like this from Neil Magny. Look at this. He kind of gets on his two hands and his foot, and then kicks out the other one. It's actually an interesting way of creating space so you can get up. Doesn't work here in this particular case, but that doesn't mean anything. All right, so then they stand. He brings him back up. So now, Magny on the game plan, right? Trying to get him to go back. But it just doesn't work for very long. Ponzinibbio on his horse, standing out from range, ducks it, turns, and now look where they are. I mean, it's just right back to where they were. Who's in the danger zone? Now look at this. Remember how I told you your behavior changes when you're up against the fence? He's all squared now. Partly that's because of the pain. He was trying to square up his stance because he didn't want to get drilled anymore. But as I mentioned, guys touch the fence, and ladies, and they just get kind of tall. They get tall all of a sudden. So it's not a great place to be, right? And look at him here. Inside that range. Look at how far back Magny is. To the point where, look at where Ponzinibbio is. Even Ponzinibbio is inside the two black lines. Crazy, right? Boom. Now he's just using his boxing. By the way, look at Ponzinibbio. Ready? Watch this. 1, 2, and watch him jump back out of range. boop, slides. Just slides in that pocket. That's what they mean when they say slide in the pocket, right? Brilliant stuff. Here he comes, chugging along, keeping him centered. Neil Magny's trying to throw a 1-2. You see him back off here, but then gets right back into range. Jab to the body. All right, let's see what happens here. You see, he's not overly relying on the kicking. All right, but look at him following him here. Like two gazelles on the same path. Crazy, right? He keeps going. Look at him inside the range. He blocks the hand so that he can throw that jab, it gets out of the way, and gets right back in his face. So he's throwing a 1 and getting out, a 1-2, and then getting out, and then getting back in. Good entries, good exits. Boom. Standing still, he catches him not moving. Neil Magny stops moving, so Ponzinibbio goes, gotcha, and drops him. All right, we keep going, yada, yada, yada. That's all this nonsense. They let him back up. All right. Again, Neil Magny goes back to the game plan. Neil Magny, when I was watching this fight in real time, I was like, man, he just doesn't seem to be able to do much. But you go back and you watch it, and after the fact, you're like, man, he was out there really kind of trying pretty hard. He's always trying pretty hard, but like he was getting up and he was listening to the instructions. He just couldn't make it work over time. Ponzinibbio stays on his horse, blah, 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 blah. Right? He moves away, moves away, moves away, jabs, circles back, counters his own striking. They clinch there, and now he begins to just step on him. I think that's where the power, when he felt the power, it was just overwhelming for him. And as we see here, we'll look at one more leg kick, I think, that drops him, and then we'll call it a day here on this very long edition of the Monday Morning Analyst. Da-da-da-da-da. Punches, punches, punches and bunches. Throws that. All right, let's see. There's one more I want you to look at, and then we will end this here. I apologize for going so long. Yada, yada, yada. All right, this is the last one. Last one here. All right, look at it. He gets him. He drills him with a shot that puts him back. So now he can't see. He's all the way back up here. You get the idea. He's following him here. Cage cutting, gets in with a punch, gets out, and then stays right back on him. Cage cutting, cage cutting, cage cutting. And then when he catches him just not doing a whole lot, you're going to see he's going to drop him with not with the punch, but with the leg kick right here. Boonk. He just catches him reaching like this, off balance, and then drops him. So that's enough of that. You get the idea. How did he use it? Two very different ways. What's the key consideration there? It's powerful, it's quick, it helps prevent getting taken down. It can be used in a variety of different functions. It's a brand new weapon you're seeing a lot more of in mixed martial arts. The calf kick, very, very effective. Congratulations to all the winners from UFC Argentina, especially Santiago Ponzinibbio. All right.